the blue planet, our home. This planet is able to provide life for thousands of different species of animals and plants, as well as the most remarkable creature on Earth, humans. But one question has stimulated the minds of man ever since it was first asked: how did we get here? When it comes to this particular question, there are two sides with very different viewpoints: evolution and creation. Evolution was first suggested by Charles Darwin when he sailed around the world and observed the different species of animals. He noticed some slight variations between the same species and thought of a survival process called natural selection, where species who adapted to their environment lived and those who didn't died off. But what exactly is evolution? Evolution is a change in an inherited trait in a species over many generations. Simply put, it's descent with modification. During sexual reproduction, half of the DNA that is passed comes from the male and half from the female. Sometimes, though, mistakes are made in the offspring's DNA, which cause variations unknown to the parents. This is called DNA mutation. The offspring then passes the mutation down to its offspring, which, after many generations, cause drastic change. As with everything man-made, there are bound to be some problems. Evolution is no exception. Number 1. All life share a common ancestor. No one knows what this ancestor was or how it got here. There is too much diversity in life to prove this actually happened. Plants cannot change into animals and vice versa. Number 2. Breaks in the fossil record. The fossil record shows the history of evolution in species. However, it shows no signs that one thing changed into all life you see today. Number 3. Salinity of the oceans. Salt and mud are deposited into the ocean each year. If this had been happening for millions of years, the 3.5 salinity would be much higher. Also, you would be able to walk on mud in some places. Number 4. Living fossils. Living fossils are species that lived in ancient times that still exist today, showing little or no change. A good example would be the horseshoe crab. Now we get to creation. Creation is how life began according to the Bible. Everything was made in under 7 days. On the first day, God made earth, light, space, and time. On the second day, God made the atmosphere. On the third day, God made dry land and plants. On day 4, He made the sun, moon, and stars. On day 5, He made the birds and the fish. On day 6, God made land animals and the first humans. And on day 7, He rested to look at the beautiful masterpiece He had made. In order to understand creation, you must first understand two big events in Earth's history. The first is the fall of man. When God made the first humans, Adam and Eve, He put them in the Garden of Eden. God told them that they could eat of any fruit of any tree in the garden, except the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Satan, the enemy of God, disguised as a snake, tricked Eve into eating the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Then she had Adam eat the fruit. That is when God put pain, death, and suffering on the earth. This leads us to our second big event, the Great Flood. God planned to flood the world in order to cleanse it of all unrighteousness. He instructed a man named Noah to build an ark for himself and his family. 2 animals of each kind boarded the ark. God sent rain to flood the world, and all unrighteousness was destroyed. The Bible, as well as science, both support creation. The effects of the flood can be seen in the land today. The Grand Canyon was made over millions of years by the Colorado River, according to scientists. If that's the case, then why is there not a canyon on the Mississippi River, the Nile River, or the Amazon? Also, around 75% of the Earth's crust is sedimentary rock. Sedimentary rock is where you'll find your fossils. In order for something to fossilize, it must be buried quickly to prevent decay. If an organism were to drown and sink to the bottom of a body of water and be buried by the sediment being moved around, that would definitely result in fossilization. That also explains why fossils of ammonite are found on mountaintops. It says in Genesis 7:20 that the waters rose 20 feet above the mountains. When you hear the word dragon, what's the first thing you think of? Maybe a creature that was very big, very powerful, scaly, or like a reptile. Now, describe this creature. The word dinosaur was first created in 1841. The oldest English translation of the Bible was the King James Version in 1611. The word dinosaur was not around to be used back then, but the word dragon was. Think of the largest land animal in the world. Now think about its tail. Would its tail be described as a cedar tree? The Bible tells of behemoths having tails the size of cedar trees. The Brontosaurus was one of the largest dinosaurs to ever live, and it had a pretty big tail. Evidence for creation is all around us if we're willing to look. So is it possible for evolution to coexist with creation? The answer is yes, but not the evolution described by scientists. In Genesis chapter 2 verse 7, it talks about God forming man from the dust of the earth. Well, did you know that there is about 4 grams of iron in the average man? The earth's core is a composition of iron in different forms. In Genesis 9, 2-3, it talks of animals being afraid of man because man wants to eat them for food. Carnivores, like man, give off a strong odor that animals can smell. They know what this means, so they're afraid. God punished snake kind to crawl on their stomachs. The 2 animals of each kind on the ark repopulated the earth to give us the different species of today. Animals and man began to eat meat. The viruses and bacteria of today are becoming more resistant to modern-day medicines. While the topic of how we got here can be highly debated, rest can be assured that we are here now and should make the most out of life.